Hey, how's it going? Wait a minute. What's this? What? Is that gasoline? Ugh! It is gasoline. Are you leaking? I just put a power valve in you. How are you leaking? This is not the kind of behavior I'm expecting from you. How is it my fault? Okay, I did put the power valve in him last night, but I put you back together right. Yeah, I did. I swear to God. Well, you're lucky. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky I found these today. Yeah. So we'll be able to fix you up sometime this weekend. Uh-huh. Yeah. Which means I gotta rebuild a bunch of carburetors this weekend. And these are just parts carbs. Yeah. I got these for parts. Cheap. Well, not cheap. They're not cheap. They're pricey for parts carbs. But hey. Two 750s. Oops, two 750s. And an 850 double pumper. The reason why I got these is because they're missing something. yeah, that one's missing there. This one's missing. This one, I don't know what this one's missing. It's got all four corners. I don't know. But this one's got the same problem. It is missing that. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. But it's an 850. I think I might be able to piece together carburetors and fix this mess. Yeah. Well, not tonight. We go over here. Here is the world's oldest 750 double pumper with progressive linkage. Maybe I can use the base plate off of this on that 850. Well, no, I can't because it's got this funky linkage that goes to the main body. I don't know. And then in one of these is another 3310. It's got all the bolt holes stripped out of the main body. So those would be good for fixing that. And you, Mr. Hay Hauler. Yeah. No wonder my garage smells like gasoline. I'm fixing is this is an 850 double pumper. You can see it says 4781-6 or 5 or 8, I don't know. That's the dash number here. 4781 is actually the model number. The -6 means the version, like the 6th version of it. So they updated these over the years. They added like the power valve protector and then they went from flat bladed screws to these hex heads, and there's a few other changes over the years I'm sure I don't know about. This specific one is a 0-4781S. S meaning shiny, and it used to be shiny instead of that dichromate green color that most of the old carbs came in. This one has got a broken base plate on it. You can see here. And I got this one pretty inexpensively. It's been used as a dyno carb, that's why it's got like 850 written on it. And one of the major crate engine builders uses a lot of these, and this is one of them. And their dyno guys use dyno carbs when they're selling an engine as a long block. So this gets taken on and off a bajillion times from different engines as they're dyno testing them there, and then they take it off, and then they send the engine out as a long block. That's a very popular way to sell an engine. Anyway, they take them on and off so many times, and they use like those little, Milwaukee cordless impacts to do so, and they eventually they broke it. I bought it where they just replace it because they go through so many that doesn't matter to them, and I'm sure they buy Holley carburetors by the pallet load, so I'm sure they can get these pretty inexpensively. So it's just better for them just to replace it after that point. So what I did is I bought it, and then I bought this. This is a new base plate. This part number is 112-119. It's for 850 specifically. And why that matters is, yeah, double pumpers are double pumpers, but there's a couple of things that are different about the different size double pumpers as they get bigger. First of all is the throttle blade size gets bigger as they get bigger. 800 and bigger have four-corner idle. So you can see it has four-corner idle, front and rear. These also have dual power valves, one in the front, one in the back. And so they have dual power valve protectors. There's one there, and there's one there. And the idle slots have to be in there for the four-corner idle as well. So I'm going to be taking this one apart, and I'm going to clean it and rebuild it. And I got a few things for it. I got bowl gaskets, and then I got power valve gaskets, because I got tons of power valves, but I don't seem to have any gaskets for some reason. And then on this 750 vacuum secondary, I need these, because I have a one that's stripped out. Actually, I have two carburetors with them stripped out. One I got 750 vacuum secondary included when I bought a parts engine. That green 394 down there came with that carburetor there, which is a 750 vacuum secondary. This one is a part number 0-80508S. S for shiny, at least it was. It's a 100-year-old carburetor. And the difference between a 0-3310S, the only difference is this one has electric choke. So this one had stripped out bowl holes when I got it as well. So I'm going to fix these two carburetors. I'm going to end up selling one of those. And then the other 3310 I have here, this is another this is a 0-3310S as well. I got this one complete, except for the electric mechanical choke mechanism is missing, but I have a spare right here, so I'll put that on. And I'm going to rebuild that, and I'll probably sell at least two of these carburetors. I'm going to keep the 850 double pumper, because buried underneath that black plastic bag is a Blueprint Engines 400. Their power adder version, but I'm going to run it naturally aspirated. It makes over 500 horsepower, and it's going to get a single plane of a Victor Junior, or excuse me, Super Victor intake manifold, and a MSD distributor, and this 850 double pumper, and then it's all going to be going into my 65 Impala SS. So time to go. Okay, so the new base plate is on, and I'm using the 6 screws that it came with. If your carburetors, some of the older carburetors used to have screws here and here. These newer ones do not. If you have like a carburetor from the 70s or 80s, it still has these other 8 base plate screws like there. And this one is actually, is it even? And no, it's not even tapped. If you have an old carburetor and you're rebuilding it, don't put these two back in. Throw those 2 screws away. Why am I saying that? You only need the 6 screws to hold the base plate on. But there's a problem. If you're running like an open plenum intake manifold, here is your open plenum. All right. See where those 2 screws are in the gasket? That means they're hanging over the plenum of your intake manifold. They can vibrate loose. If they vibrate loose, guess where they go? Down the engine. Bad news. You ever seen an imprint of a screw in the top of a piston? Or smashed into a chamber, combustion chamber of a cylinder head? It's expensive. The other thing you don't want to do, one other thing is, you see how the primaries are open just a tad when the idle speed is set. It's always going to be open just a little bit. They're not completely closed. That lets air in. Now, if you're running a giant camshaft and you're running a carburetor where you just can't really get the idle mixture where it's not making your eyes water at the exhaust, there's a little trick that you can do, and you can turn that you can do to get a little more air through the carburetor to lean out the idle mixture. So you have a little more adjustability with the screws and idle mixture screws, and it'll help tame the camshaft that has a ton of valve overlap. That gives you that sound. That sound comes from valve overlap. You can open these just like you open these. Now it's not the screw is on the bottom here. See that little screw right there? This screw, hang on a second, pushes let me open the throttle linkage. It pushes the throttle linkage open. There's a little, it hits that little tab right there. Can you see it? There you go. You can see the screw goes all the way through, and you can open them up just a little bit. See how I'm doing it up at the top of the screen there? And it'll give your idle mixture a little more air through the throttle blades, and you'll be able to lean out your idle circuit with just a little bit of an easy fix like this. If your carburetor does not have adjustable air bleeds on it, then this is a way you can do that. I do not suggest drilling holes in your butterflies because there's no going back from that. None. This is a simple fix. It's just a screw. Open it up a little bit. I would do half to maybe at full turn at the most. You'll notice that when you do that, and you'll have to take the carburetor off the engine to do that. It's almost impossible to do that on the engine unless you have like a tunnel ram or something. Take the carburetor off the engine, flip it over upside down, and spill gasoline all over your pants, and then turn the screw about 1/2 of a turn first. And your idle speed will go up because you're opening the throttle blades and allowing more air in. So you'll have to back off your idle speed a little bit to get back to where your normal setting is, say like 1,000 RPM. And that is a cheap, inexpensive, as in free, fix for running a big camshaft with a big carburetor where you're having trouble making the idle circuit lean out at all. This is not a fix if you blow your power valves, okay? This is not a fix if you don't have your floats adjusted. So you got to have your floats adjusted correctly first, and make sure if your power valve's not blown, which is not likely these days, then this is what I would do as a backup. First, set your floats, and then do this as a backup. All right, I got the new base plate on, as you can see, and I'm going to start going through the carburetor itself. I never really take the base plate off when I'm pulling the bowls off, mostly for rebuilds. I mean, what's the point? It's just a gasket between it. Unless the gasket's, the gasket's torn, or you have a vacuum leak between the main body and the base plate, what's the point of taking it off? You don't need to. So, I don't. They took the original size 80 jets out of this and downjetted it to a 76's front and rear. I'm going to do something different. For this particular 500 horsepower engine that I got, small block 400 from Blueprint Engines, I'm going to go down a little bit on the jetting. I'm going to go back up to original, the original 80 jets in the back, and I'm going to take this power valve out of the back. Shoot. Actually, you know what? I'll just reuse it. It's actually pretty good shape. I'm going to reuse that. If your power valve gasket rips or splits in two, like when you take the old power valve off, then you just got to get another gasket for it. Most power valves, if you're replacing the power valve, it comes with a new gasket. I have so many parts from 25 years of working on carburetors that I have tons of power valves. I mean, here's a bag full of them. Here's another bag full of them. So, but I don't have any more gaskets anymore. So I bought Holley's part number there. You can see it for new gaskets in case I need them. The other thing, if you're going to be doing a lot of jetting, get a Holley jet kit. All right. I think this was, I don't know how much it is now, but when I bought it, it was $69. And if you think about it, a set of jets is $6.95. So if you buy 10 jets, you paid for this, which has hundreds. So, dozens and dozens. Oh yeah, if you want to know what size your jet is, I don't know if you can be able to see that on camera. There's a little number stamped into it. If you get old and blind like me, they get harder and harder to read every year. Alright, get in there. There we go. You can get the proper jet tool, installation tool, if you want. And if you happen to take out jets that look like they've been put in with Loctite, then it might be a good idea. But I don't put my jets in so tight that I can't get them back out with just a plain screwdriver. So, there you go. Alright, so I got 80s in the back, and there were 76s in the front. 76s. Thinking I want to go a little bit leaner than that. I think I'm going to go down to like 74s. Yeah, I'm going to go down to like 74s in the front. So... a lot of this is trial and error. Unless you have a dyno, or the best way to tune a carburetor is with an AFR gauge. So, I should probably be checked to make sure those are actually 74s. Yep, they're 74s. Here's what it looks like. You see how I have extras from rebuilding other carburetors, and then they're actually, yeah. The only ones I'm missing now are 71s. I only had one set of 71s, and they're in my other in another carburetor right now. Okay. Save that, reuse it. Okay. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna blow out every little one of these little tiny holes, and I'm gonna take the idle mixture screws out and blow out all the tiny little holes with brake clean, which on a nice cold day like today will freeze your hands. Yeah. And then I'm going to blow out all the holes in the carburetor as well. Make sure all the air bleeds are nice and clean. Okay. Do the same with this one. Excuse me, I'm sniffling today. Allergies. I don't know how I can have allergies in the wintertime. I don't. But they're still... They just harvested all the cornfields around here, so I'm allergic to dust, which makes my life miserable. Alright. So I got the all this cleaned as best I could. So now it's time to put it back together. Front bowl. The floats look a little high to me. So I am going to get some 16s. I'm going to adjust the floats down a bit. You can always adjust them up, but if oops, my camera's tilted over. If my if the floats are too high, then it's going to be running rich right off the bat. Yeah, look at that. This is even loose. That's interesting. So when you adjust the floats, you see this line here. You kind of want your float seam to be even, level with this, or the top of the float level with the top of the bowl. I have the bowl holding it upside down, and you just turn the nut here down. I'm going to go down a little bit on it. That way I can adjust it up on a running engine. It's a little easier to adjust it up on a running engine. So it's a little bit down. And I'm going to do the same for this one. I just can't understand why these are so loose. If this just came off of a running engine, it'd be leaking everywhere. There we go. And then you just tighten the set screw down with the big flat bladed screwdriver. There you go. Well, I got 2 carbs done. 0-3310S and the 0-4781S. This is the 850 double pumper, and this is the 750 vacuum secondary, also known as the 3310. Holley's been building these since the 60s, and this one came out really nice looking. I had to change the secondary spring. The company I get these from, when they dyno, they buy so many that Holley puts like a super light secondary spring in these, and so they'll open on the dyno. Unfortunately, if you're driving anything heavier than like a 2,500 pound car, they kind of have a tendency to open too soon, and you end up wondering why you have a rich condition all the time. But I put the stock spring back in it, which is a medium-sized one. It has the 72 jets in it, which are the stock for this carburetor part number. And I might sell this car. I don't know. It's in really nice shape. It looks really good. So, anywho, here I am again, Scott. And I put together this carburetor here from 2 different ones. I don't know. From the last bit of the video, you saw that I had a bunch of them, and I bought a 750 vacuum secondary that had a broken base plate, and I took mine, which had a couple of stripped bolt holes in the main body, and combined the 2 carburetors and made one good one. So what I have here is a it's a kind of a Frankenstein, but the 3310S, 0-3310S is what I had, and then I took my 0-80508S and combined the 2. And the really real difference between the 2 is the 08S has electric choke, and the 3310S is a manual choke. That's the only thing different. So I don't have the electric choke hooked up yet, so I got it wide open. That's why it's a little cold-blooded. Having a single plane intake doesn't help either. An old school trick for you. It's an old soup can that old Campbell's, probably chicken noodle or tomato soup can, and I drain the carburetor into it, pull a bowl screw out, and I drain the carburetor into it. And with a pinched corn here like this, you can pour it right back in. I don't know if you can still get cans like this now, with all the safety BS that they got going on these days, but you just pour it right down the vent. If I can do this, can I do this? It's hard to do left-handed. You try right-handed. Doesn't matter. We're just trying to give it some gas in it. There we go. Right down the vent. It doesn't matter if you spill a little. We don't have to fill up the back bowl either. It'll fill up itself once we get it started. That again.
You finally got it to stop leaking. That's good. Tighten them screws, man.
That's pretty good on a 383. Not bad. Kind of burbles in the cold air when the engine's cold. Especially when it's running rich with the choke on. Well, the original carburetor that I had on the car, on the truck, when it started leaking is back on it. It's fixed. It's no longer leaking, obviously. But I have actually, after doing all the testing with the other carburetors, I'm thinking about actually putting that 850 double pumper on here for a little while. Since it's not going to be on the 400 for a while, why not see if it runs? I mean, the throttle response with it was pretty cool. So, as you saw in the video, it snapped when I revved it. How it drives is another story. So, I mean, obviously it had a really good throttle response, snapped the throttle, and it revved instantly. While the engine was sitting there in neutral. But how it actually runs on the street, that would be a different story. And they're not always the same. So, we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know. In the meantime, I got to fix a couple of things. I forgot that on Rocky Mountain Race Week this year on 1.0, the first version, that I had changed the spark plug gap down to 35, trying to chase after a problem with my ignition system that turned out to be in the end a bad distributor, and actually two bad distributors, the first one and the second one. And so now I still have those gapped at 35. I'm going to re-gap them back at 45. I know that a lot of people say that MSTs, you gap them out to 60. I've never had very good luck with that. So, and the other thing I'm going to do is, I think the thermostat's stuck wide open. So I got to fix that problem, and that's what I'm going to do right now, is solve the problem with the stuck thermostat. And then maybe if the street's dry enough, because there's snow all over the ground. It snowed Friday night, and we had about 6 inches of snow on the ground. Maybe let the streets dry up a little bit, we can actually test drive it, and see if our repairs actually did the job. So tune in next time. Thanks a lot.